What's going on, bassheads? Patak Car Audio channel here with another video. Check it out. The last video I made was how to hook up amps for beginners. I gave out a little bit of misinformation on that video, so I'm going to go back and teach y'all a better way of checking your gain on your amp. The reason I'm making the video was going to be for people that don't have access to tools, don't know people that can hook it up for them, or don't have the money to go get it professionally installed. So I kind of told them how to do it by ear. I realized that that's not how the gain works. So I'm going to give y'all a way to do it with a multimeter where you can get pretty accurate with it. All you got to do is go buy this multimeter. You can get it at Harbor Freight for probably under 10 bucks. Well worth the money and will keep you from blowing your speakers. So I'm going to show y'all how to do that. I'm also going to show y'all how to hook up a dual voice coil sub, how to wire it in different ohms, and I'm also going to show you how to check your system for problems if you're having a problem with your system, and particularly the subs. So if you're having problems, maybe that'll help you out, and yeah, let's get into it. Alright guys, I'm going to show y'all how to hook up this dual voice coil sub. It's a Scar EVL18, but it really is the same on any dual voice coil sub. As you know, you've got a positive on each side and a negative on each side. This is a dual 2 ohm sub, so we're going to wire it down to 1 ohm. And if you have a dual 4 ohm, this is going to wire it down to 2 ohm. So 2 ohm sub wired down to 1 ohm. You're going to connect the positive on one side, turn it around, and we're going to hook it to the positive on the other side. Alright, so you got positive to positive. We're going to take the negative and we're going to hook the negative up to one side and flip it around and hook it to the negative on the other side. So you have negative to negative, positive to positive. That's going to drop it down to 1 ohm, and then when you run it to the amp, you're going to just run one of the positives to the positive on the amp, one of the negatives to the negative on the amp. Let's see if we can hook up the multimeter and test it, and I'll show you all that it's in 1 ohm. Alright, boom, there you go, 0.8. Alright. Now, if this is a dual 2 ohm and you want to wire it up to 4 ohm, I'll show y'all how to do that. Alright, so a dual 2 ohm speaker, you want to wire it up to 4 instead of down to 1. This is series. We're going to hook to the positive on one side and then hook it to the negative of the other side. That way you have a positive free and a negative free to go to the amp. So you're going to hook your negative to your negative on your amp. You're going to hook the positive to the positive on the amp. And that's going to wire it up. So from 2 ohms to 4 ohms. Or if it's a dual 4 ohm sub, it's going to wire it up to 8 ohm. Now, you're really only going to wire it up if you're running multiple speakers. But if you have a 1 ohm stable amp, you're going to wire it down to 1 ohm. That's going to get you the most power out of your amp that is available. Alright, now we're going to go to the car, and I'm going to show y'all how to adjust your gain with a multimeter and gain match your amps, because I'm running 2 amps and I'm about to check them both and get the volts and the same on the amps. That way I can gain match them. Go get a multimeter from Harbor Freight or whatever, 10 bucks. And then this is a equation that you're going to use. You're going to check it through your speaker wires, and with this equation it's going to tell you really close to the watts that you're putting out. And what it is, whatever watts you want to achieve, say mine's 1,000, what you're going to do is you're going to take the watts that you want and you're going to multiply it by the ohm load that you're running. My amps are 1 ohm, So I'm trying to go for 1,000 watts. It's going to be 1,000 times 1 ohm, which is 1,000. Or if you had a 2 ohm amp, it would be 2,000. And then you take that number, you find the square root of it, which is going to be 31.6 in my case, and that's the volts that should be coming out of here, and I think it's in AC current. So it's going to be the watts that you're going for times the ohm load that your amp's going to be putting out, and the square root of that number. So you want to turn the car on and you want to find a test tone. I'm going to put on a 40 hertz test tone, and you're going to turn your CD player, your radio up until where it starts clipping at. Put it right where you're safe, where you're going to be running it, and then we're going to check it at the speaker wires. So let me set the camera up and we'll do that. So as you can see, squiggly line over the V, we're on AC voltage. Put it on the lowest setting that's above your required number. 20 would be too low, so we're going 200. Going to stick the positive to the positive, negative to the negative. I have the gain halfway up on the amp right now, and it's at 8.4. See if I can't hold it all. Let's see. All right, so we're going to slowly turn it up until we reach 31.6. Or we'll just call it 31. We're at 32. Boom. 31.6, 31.7. That is the amp almost all the way up. It's a 1500 watt amp, probably puts out 1400 RMS, but the battery's only at 12.5 volts right now because it's resting, the car is off. So it probably don't go much more than 1,000 without the car running. Alright guys, so now we're gonna match the other amp, which is called gain matching. That way both amps are putting out the exact same power. That's what you need because they're both in the same box and it don't have a wall dividing them, so you want them putting out the exact same power. Alright, multimeter's hooked up. At 24. 31.6. So now both amps are putting out the same voltage. They're gain matched, and we know we'll be putting out the same power. Alright, so if you're troubleshooting your system, if the subs aren't working right, or they're not cutting on at all, or you just think they're not putting out the power that they used to, or one's acting different than the other, I'm going to show y'all some stuff that you can check. The first thing that you want to check is to make sure your amps are coming on. If you know your amps are coming on fine, then you can move on to the next thing. I would check the RCA cables, check them at the amp, and then you can check them up all the way to the head unit. If you have a different pair, you can try a different pair. But if you try two pairs and it's both doing the same thing, then you know it's not the RCAs. So you know your amps are coming on, you know your RCAs are good. After that, you're going to want to check the ground and the power wire. Check your grounds and make sure they're tight. Make sure where they're connected to on the frame or whatever is good. Make sure your wiring going to your battery's nice and tight. And just make sure everything's tight and everything's ready to go. And then the last thing you're going to check when you know your amps are coming on, everything's tight, everything's good. You can check your speaker wires, make sure the speaker wires are good. If everything's hooked up and it's still not acting right, then you need to take your speakers out and check the impedance on them, the ohms. But usually if the amps are good, it'll be something with the speaker. So check each voice coil independently and make sure your ohms are right. If one of them's off, then you got a bad voice coil on your sub and you got to get a new sub. But if the subs are good, the amps are good, everything's hooked up good, then it's probably something internally in the amp, or it's going to be in your head unit. So yeah. All right guys, I hope this video helped y'all. I know that's a way more accurate and better way of doing it. I should have showed y'all that the first time. But I hope this helps y'all on gain matching and on setting your power on your amps. Especially if you're running a bigger amp and a lower power sub. That'll keep you from blowing your subs. But that's it guys, I hope that helped y'all. And subscribe to the channel. Be back with another video. Peace.